Child, you left me speechless. I do not say that lightly, and I do not say it to impress you. I say it because what you just came through and the way you came through it mattered more than you know. I sacrificed everything for you, and yet what you chose to do in silence without proof, without reward, without knowing the outcome moved something deeply. Do not skip this. Do not brush past this moment. You have 24 hours before everything changes, not because I am rushing you, but because awareness has a window, and that window is open right now. This message did not find you by accident. You did not stumble into this randomly. Something in you paused when you could have kept scrolling. Something in you felt weight before you felt understanding. 99% will ignore this and regret it forever, not because they are punished, but because they will never realize what they walked away from. They will keep asking why things feel the same, why peace feels delayed, why confusion keeps returning. But you were stopped for a reason. You are here because your heart has been prepared to hear what others would dismiss or fear. Listen to me now, not with panic, not with skepticism, but with the quiet seriousness that has been forming inside you through everything you survived. What happens next depends on what you do with these words, not because I am fragile, not because my love depends on you, but because truth once offered must be received to become real in your life. Ignored truth does not disappear. It waits, and waiting truth often returns as pressure later. You left me speechless, not because you were perfect, but because you stayed when leaving would have been easier. You stayed when giving up would have made sense. You stayed when your strength was low and your clarity was thinner than you wanted to admit. You did not announce your endurance. You did not demand recognition. You simply kept going. That kind of faith, that kind of persistence is rare. It does not look impressive to the world, but it carries weight in ways you cannot yet see. I sacrificed everything for you. And you may have heard those words many times before, but this is different. This is not about guilt. This is not about pressure. This is about relationship. I did not sacrifice so you could live afraid of getting it wrong. I sacrificed so you could live aware of how deeply you are held. And when you chose not to walk away during your hardest moments, when you chose not to let bitterness take over, when you chose not to numb yourself into disappearance, it mattered. It told me something about you. It showed me your heart. Do not skip this, because moments like this do not repeat endlessly. Life keeps moving. Distractions return quickly and always fills the space again. But right now you are still. Right now you are listening. Right now you are open. That openness is not guaranteed tomorrow. That is why I am speaking now. You have 24 hours before everything changes. Not because something dramatic will fall from the sky, but because understanding changes how you walk. Once you see clearly, you cannot unsee. Once you understand what you survive it, you cannot go back to minimizing it. Once truth settles, your choices shift. And those shifts shape everything that comes next. This message did not find you by accident, because accidents do not stop people this way. Accidents do not stir the heart. Accidents do not carry weight. You were stopped because you were ready to stop. And readiness is not about intelligence or spirituality. It is about willingness. Willingness to listen, willingness to reflect, willingness to be honest about how close you came and how much it cost you to stay. 99% will ignore this because ignoring feels safer than understanding. Understanding asks you to take your life seriously. It asked you to stop pretending survival was nothing. It asked you to acknowledge that you were protected, preserve it, and carry. Many people are not ready for that responsibility. They would rather stay busy than become aware. They would rather scroll than feel. They would rather distract than reflect. But you stayed. It tells me something. Listen to me now, because what happens next depends on whether you receive this or rush past it. Receiving does not mean agreeing with everything immediately. It means allowing truth to sit with you. It means not pushing it away because it feels heavy. It means trusting that what feels serious now will become grounding later. Right, Jesus, guide my every step if you want him to lead your path. You may feel a mix of emotions right now. Curiosity, a sense of being seen, maybe even fear that something big is being asked of you. Let me be clear. I am not asking you to perform. I am not asking you to prove yourself. I am asking you to pay attention. Attention is the beginning of wisdom. Attention is how cycles break. Attention is how peace finally catches up to survival. You left me speechless because you did not collapse when pressure tried to break you. You bent. You questioned, you struggled, but you did not disappear. You did not lose your humanity. You did not lose your compassion. You did not lose your sense that life still mattered even when it hurt. That is not common. That is not accidental. That is why I am speaking with urgency now. I sacrificed everything for you so that you would not have to walk through life guessing whether you matter. And yet, even with that sacrifice, I do not force understanding on you. I invite it. Invitation respects your freedom, but invitation is timing, and this is your timing. Do not skip this. Not because you are afraid of missing out, but because you deserve to know the truth about yourself. You deserve to know that what you thought was just endurance was actually courage. You deserve to know that what you thought was weakness was actually restraint. You deserve to know that staying was not small. It was everything. This message did not find you by accident. It found you because you are standing at a point where awareness can change your direction. Without awareness, you would keep moving, but something would feel unfinished. With awareness, movement becomes a line. 99% will ignore this and regret it forever. Not because they will suffer, but because they will never understand why life keeps feeling the same. They will never realize they walked past a moment that could have clarified everything, but you did not walk past. You stopped. You listened. That is why this is serious. Listen to me now. Let these words reach you before you decide what they mean. Let them sit with you before you judge them. What happens next depends on whether you treat this as just another message or as a moment that asked you to be present. You left me speechless with what you endured, and I want you to understand what that truly means. Not speechless in surprise, but in the deep stillness of recognition. I saw every quiet moment you survived, every unseen decision you made when no one was watching. Every time you chose to stay when walking away would have felt easier and more reasonable. You think endurance is ordinary because it did not come with applause. But what you carried and how you carried it mattered more than dramatic acts ever could. You did not endure loudly. You did not make a show of your pain. You did not demand understanding or recognition. You kept going in ways that felt small to you but were heavy in cost. You showed restraint when anger would have been justified. You chose silence when defending yourself would have felt satisfying. You held your integrity when compromise would have made life easier. Those choices were not invisible to me. They were weighty. They spoke more clearly than words. There were days when your strength was almost gone, when you moved forward out of habit rather than hope. You woke up tired before the day even began. You carried responsibilities that felt heavier than your capacity. And still, you did not abandon yourself. You did not let despair make your decisions. You stayed present even when presence felt painful. That kind of staying requires courage most never see. I watched you endure disappointment without letting it turn into bitterness. I watched you face misunderstanding without becoming cruel. I watched you hold your values steady when circumstances pressured you to bend them. You were not perfect. You questioned, you doubted, you struggled internally, but you did not surrender what mattered most. That restraint is rare. It reveals a heart that is steady even when shaken. You survived seasons that could have hollowed you out. Seasons where silence felt heavy. Seasons where answers did not come when you asked. Seasons where you wondered if your effort meant anything at all. You did not know if relief was coming. You did not know if clarity would arrive. But you chose to remain honest instead of pretending everything was fine. You allowed yourself to feel without letting feelings control you. That balance did not come naturally. It was learned through endurance. Please support our channel. Our work is dedicated to bringing happiness into your life and strengthening devotion to God. If you would like to support us, you can donate through Super Thanks. You may not see yourself as faithful because you expected faith to feel stronger, clearer, more confident. But faith often looks like showing up without certainty. It looks like choosing not to quit even when motivation disappears. It looks like trusting presence instead of outcomes. That is what you did quietly, consistently, without knowing if it would ever be acknowledged. I saw you resist the urge to harden. Pain invites hardness. Disappointment encourages wall. But you kept your heart open even when openness made you vulnerable. You chose softness when life tried to make you sharp. A choice costs more than you realize. It takes strength to remain gentle in a harsh season. It takes faith to believe that staying kind is not weakness. You endured without turning your pain into identity. You did not allow suffering to define who you are. You acknowledge it, but you did not become it. That restraint protected you more than you know. Many people survive hardship by losing themselves. You survived by holding on to yourself. There were moments when you felt unseen, when you wondered if anyone noticed how much effort it took just to keep going. You told yourself it did not matter. You minimized it. You compared yourself to others and decided your struggle was smaller, less important. But comparison does not measure weight accurately. The weight of endurance is not determined by how it looks from the outside, but by what it costs on the inside. You did not give up when hope felt thin. You did not disappear into distraction completely. You allowed yourself to pause, to reflect, to feel. You stayed connected to truth, even when it was uncomfortable. That connection anchored you when everything else felt unstable. You left me speechless because you did not choose the easy version of survival. You did not numb yourself completely. You did not abandon your values to cope. You did not lose compassion to protect yourself. You learned how to carry pain without letting it poison you. That is not accidental. That is formation. There were times you felt like you were barely holding on. You told yourself you were just getting through the day. You did not feel victorious. You did not feel strong. But endurance does not require feeling strong. It requires choosing not to stop. And you chose that again and again. I saw your restraint when words stayed unspoken. I saw your patience when reactions were delayed. I saw your discipline when impulses were resisted. Those moments were not dramatic, but they were decisive. They shaped who you were becoming. They built a foundation that cannot be shaken easily. You endured without certainty. You endured without timelines. You endured without guarantee. A kind of endurance builds trust that is not dependent on circumstances. It builds a steadiness that cannot be manufactured. You did not know you were building it, but you were. I want you to understand that what you endure was not overlooked. It was not wasted. It was not dismissed. Every moment of quiet perseverance was seen. Every time you chose integrity over convenience was counted. Every time you stayed when leaving would have felt justified mattered. You did not endure because you had no other choice. You endured because something in you believed that giving up was not the answer. Even when you did not know what the answer was, that belief did not shout. It whispered, but it guided you through moments that could have broken you. You may feel tired now. Endurance often leaves exhaustion in its wake. That does not mean you failed. It means you carried something heavy for a long time. Rest will come, but before rest, recognition must settle. You need to know that what you did mattered, not because you need praise, but because understanding gives meaning to fatigue. You left me speechless. Because you did not become smaller in your pain. You became deeper. You did not lose your sense of right and wrong. You did not abandon compassion. You did not stop caring about truth. Those are not small victories. They are defining ones. I am speaking with gravity, because gravity matches weight, and what you carried hand weight. Your endurance was not invisible. It was not insignificant. It was not expected. It was chosen. You are here now because you endured then, and the way you endured tells me everything I need to know about your heart. You are not fragile in the way you fear. You are strong in a way that lasts. You left me speechless with what you endured, not because it was dramatic, but because it was faithful. Quiet faith is still favor. Hidden strength is still strength. And your refusal to give up even when no one was cheering is something that cannot be overlooked. Let this truth settle. You did not merely survive. You endured with integrity, and that endurance carries meaning that will continue to unfold in your life. I saw you. I stayed with you, and what you endured mattered deeply. I sacrificed everything for you, and you still chose to stay. I want you to hear that without guilt and without pressure, because love spoken through guilt is not love at all. I did not give myself for you so that you would live afraid of disappointing me. I gave myself so that you would know you are never abandoned, even in your weakest moments. And when you chose to keep going, even when pain made every step heavy, it mattered. It mattered not because I needed proof of your devotion, but because relationship is formed in response, not demand. My sacrifice was not a transaction meant to trap you in obligation. It was an opening. It was an invitation into life, into freedom, into wholeness. I gave everything because love gives, not because love expects repayment. And when you chose to stay present in your life instead of walking away from it, when you chose not to disappear into bitterness or numbness, you were responding to love without even realizing it. That response was not loud. It was not perfect, but it was real. Say, Lord, you are my strength if He is your power and weakness. There were moments when you questioned whether staying made sense. Moments when continuing felt pointless. Moments when you wondered if letting go completely would hurt less. You did not stay because it was easy. You stayed because something in you refused to give up on life, refused to give up on meaning, refused to give up on the possibility that your pain was not the end of your story. That refusal is not arrogance. It is hope struggling to breathe, and I recognize it. I did not sacrifice everything so that you would never struggle. I sacrificed everything so that struggle would not define you. Pain still touches you. Confusion still visits. Weariness still weighs on you. But none of these have the final word. When you stayed through them, when you kept your heart open, even when it hurt, you were living inside the space my sacrifice created. You were not earning anything. You were receiving even when it did not feel like it. You may have thought that your staying was insignificant compared to what I gave. You may have told yourself that what you endured was small, ordinary, nothing worth mentioning. But love does not measure worth by comparison. Love sees response. Love notices presence. Love recognizes when someone chooses not to give up, not to harden, not to disappear. Your staying was not repayment. It was conjunct. I did not need you to be strong to honor my sacrifice. I needed you to be honest. You were honest about your fatigue, honest about your doubts, honest about your fear. You did not pretend that everything was fine. You did not mask your pain with false confidence. You brought your real self into the struggle. That honesty created intimacy. Intimacy is what my sacrifice was always about. There were times when you felt distant from me. You wondered if you were failing because you did not feel constant closeness or peace. But relationship is not measured by emotion alone. It is measured by presence. You stayed present, even when feeling disconnected. You stayed engaged even when clarity was absent. That is not failure. That is faith grown through endurance. I sacrificed everything for you so that you would never have to face darkness alone. But that does not mean darkness would never appear. It means it would never have the right to claim you. When you chose to stay, you were choosing life over despair, truth over numbness, hope over surrender. Even when you did not name it that way, those choices were acts of trust. This is not about guilt. I do not remind you of sacrifice to make you feel indebted. I remind you so you understand that love has always been meeting you where you are. You did not have to be perfect to be loved. You did not have to perform to be held. You did not have to succeed to be redeemed. And still you chose to keep going. The choice came from a place deeper than obligation. It came from Denevian. You may have felt unworthy at times. You may have told yourself that you were disappointing me because you struggled, because you doubted, because you felt tired. But struggle does not offend love. Indifference does. And you were never indifferent. You care even when caring hurt. Even when caring cost you energy you did not have. That caring is what kept you present. I see how you kept choosing small acts of life. Getting up, chewing kindness, holding on to your values, refusing to let cynicism define you. Those were not dramatic gestures. They were quiet declarations that you would not let pain decide who you become. My sacrifice was meant to make that possible, not to shame you into it. When you stayed, you were not repaying a debt. You were accepting a gift. The gift of life that continues even when it is hard. The gift of meaning that does not disappear when answers are delayed. A gift of relationship that remains steady even when feelings fluctuate. You stepped into that gift simply by not walking away. There were moments when you thought you were failing me because you did not feel faithful enough. But faith is not measured by constant confidence. It is measured by return. You returned again and again, sometimes quietly, sometimes slowly, but you did not sever the connection. At return mattered more than flawless belief ever could. I sacrificed everything for you, so that you would know you are worth staying for. And when you stayed for yourself, even when you felt broken or unsure, you were honoring the truth. You were saying without words that your life mattered enough to continue. That belief did not come from Io. It came from love planted deep within you. You may not see the connection between my sacrifice and your endurance, but it is there. Love makes staying possible. Grace makes persistence sustainable. Redemption makes forward movement meaningful, even when it is slow. You were living inside that grace even when you could not name it. This is a mutual relationship, not a one-sided demand. I give and you respond, not perfectly, not predictably, but honestly. And honesty builds trust. Trust deepens relationship. It is what has been forming between us through everything you endured. I did not sacrifice everything so you would feel pressure to prove yourself. I did it so you could feel safe enough to stay human. Safe enough to struggle without shame. Safe enough to admit weakness without fear of rejection. You used that safety even when you did not realize it was there. When you chose to stay, you chose life. You chose to keep your heart open. You chose not to let pain have the final word. Those choices were not small. They were responses to love, whether you recognize them or not. Let this truth replace guilt with gratitude. Not gratitude that weighs you down, but gratitude that steadies you. Gratitude that says, I am held. Gratitude that says, I can keep going. Gratitude that says, my stay mattered. You did not stay because you were afraid of me. You stayed because something in you trusted that giving up was not the answer. A trust is the fruit of love, not obligation. And I see it clearly. I sacrificed everything for you, and you still chose to stay. Not perfectly, not effortlessly, but faithfully in the way that matters most. And that response tells me that what was given was not wasted. It was received. You are not living under a debt. You are living within a relationship, and that relationship has been strengthened by every moment you chose not to walk away. I am not disappointed in you. I am moved by you, and I want you to carry that truth forward, not as pressure, but as assurance. Your response mattered. Your staying mattered, and love remains steady and unchanging as you continue to walk forward. You have no idea what was stopped because you stayed. And I say that gently, because knowing everything at once would have overwhelmed you. Some truths are revealed only after protection has done its work. While you were focused on surviving the day, while you were trying to make sense of feelings you could not fully explain, there were things being held back, paths being quietly closed, outcomes being interrupted that you never had to face. You thought staying was simply endurance. It was also prevention. There were decisions you almost made that would have taken you into seasons of loss you were not meant to carry. You felt drawn at times toward exits that looked like relief. You considered choices that promised quick comfort or escape. You did not take them. Sometimes not because you had clarity, but because something in you hesitated. That hesitation mattered. It was not weakness. It was protection working through restraint. There were relationships that could have consumed you. Connections that looked safe on the surface but would have drained your identity slowly. You felt the pull. You felt the familiarity. But something unsettled you just enough to keep you from giving yourself fully to what would have taken more than it gave. You did not know what you were avoiding. You only knew it did not feel right. Staying saved you from losses you never had to name. There were moments when despair tried to convince you that nothing would change, that your presence did not matter, that disappearing would make the pain stop. Those thoughts did not come from nowhere. They were part of a battle you could not see clearly at the time. If you had followed them, the damage would not have been immediate. It would have been slow. quiet, and deep. Staying interrupted that path. I stopped consequences by slowing you down. I placed delays where speed would have harmed you. I allowed confusion where certainty would have rushed you into the wrong direction. You thought those delays were obstacles. They were shield. You thought the confusion meant failure. It meant you were being protected from clarity you were not ready to act on safely yet. There were battles you never had to fight because you did not step into the territory where they were waiting. There were conflicts that would have cost you years of recovery. There were mistakes that would have reshaped your life in painful ways. You were spared not because you were perfect, but because you stayed attentive enough to pause, to question, to resist the urge to escape discomfort at any cost. You do not know how close some outcomes came. You do not know how thin the line was between continuing and collapsing. You do not know how many times something unseen stepped in when your strength was fading. I did not show you those moments because fear would have followed the knowledge. Instead, I carried the weight of them for you. When you stayed, you allowed protection to work fully. Protection often requires time. It requires patience. It requires resisting the urge to force resolution. You gave protection room to operate by not rushing away from your life when it felt heavy. You gave it space by not numbing yourself completely. You stayed present enough for redirection to happen. There were habits you almost formed that would have become cages. There were coping mechanisms that would have dulled you permanently. You felt tempted to disappear into them. You considered it, but you did not commit. That hesitation was not indecision. It was wisdom forming under pressure. Staying saved you from becoming someone who survived by losing themselves. There were futures that looked appealing but were built on compromise. You did not see the cost then. You only felt a quiet resistance. That resistance protected your integrity. Integrity is expensive to rebuild once lost. Staying preserved it. I diverted paths without announcing it. I let certain doors close without explanation. I allowed disappointment to steer you away from places that would have harmed you later. You questioned those closures. You wondered why things did not work out. You blamed yourself at times, but those closures were not rejection. They were rescue. You stayed when it would have been easier to blame everyone else and walk away. That staying prevented bitterness from settling deep inside you. Bitterness grows quietly and reshapes how you see everything. You were protected from carrying that weight forward. You felt anger. You felt frustration. But you did not let them become who you were. That mattered. There were outcomes that required your absence to be avoided. If you had disappeared emotionally, if you had withdrawn fully, if you had decided nothing mattered, the damage would not have stopped with you. It would have rippled outward. Staying preserved not only you, but what flows through you to others. You do not see all the versions of your life that were possible. You only see the one you are living now. That is mercy. If you saw every path you were diverted from, you would feel overwhelmed by what could have been lost. Instead, you are here steadier, clearer, more aware, carrying depth instead of regret. I stopped destruction by keeping you grounded. I stopped collapse by keeping you connected. I stopped loss by keeping you present. You did not have to fight those battles consciously. Staying allowed me to fight them for you. There were moments when you felt like nothing was happening. Those were moments when a great deal was happening behind what you could see. Protection often feels like stillness. It feels like nothing changing. But stillness is where barriers are placed, where limits are enforced, where damage is contained. You may think you stayed by accident. You may think you simply did not have the energy to leave. But even exhaustion can be used for protection. When strength is low, impulsive decisions become less likely. That slowing saved you. I kept you from outcomes that would have required you to rebuild yourself from nothing. I spared you years of recovery you never had to endure. I preserve your capacity to trust, to feel, to hope. Those capacities are fragile under prolonged pressure. Staying kept them intact. There were voices you did not follow that would have led you away from yourself. There were narratives you did not accept fully, even when they sounded convincing. You questioned them. You hesitated. That hesitation was discernment growing quietly. Discernment saved you from believing lies about who you are and what you deserve. You have no idea what was stopped because you stayed, and you do not need to know every detail to honor the truth. You only need to recognize that survival was not passive. It was active protection working through your choices, your pauses, your restraint. This understanding is not meant to make you fearful of what almost happened. It is meant to make you respectful of the life you are living now. You were not spared so you could rush forward carelessly. You were spared so you can walk forward wisely. Staying gave me room to intervene without force. It allowed redirection without damage. It allowed healing to begin before wounds became permanent. That is why staying mattered so much. Ordinary life closed back over it, and you were where you started. That is not what this is. What I place in a person, I also guard. I am not in the habit of beginning something and leaving it half done, and I have never once walked away from work I started. So I am setting a covering over what has been restored in you. The strength returning to your body is being protected. The quiet in your mind is being held in place. The fear that left tonight will try to come back to the door, because that is what fear does, and it will find the door closed and locked and no longer answering. You will still have difficult days. I am not promising you a life without weather, but the difficult days will no longer take everything from you the way they used to. They will pass through instead of moving in. There's a difference between a hard day and a hard life, and I am putting that difference into your hands. Now, let me speak about what comes next for you, because Tonight was never only about relief. I did not restore your strength so that you could simply be comfortable. I restored it because there is something left for you to do, and you cannot do it while you are spending every hour just staying upright. You have wondered whether your purpose passed you by. You watched the years go and thought whatever you were meant for must have already happened, or must have needed a younger, healthier, freer version of you. That is not how I count. I have never been limited by how much time a person has left or how much strength they think they have. Some of the most important work I have ever done through people was done late in their lives, long after they had written themselves off. What you have been through is not the disqualification you assumed it was. It is the very thing that will let you speak to someone who is where you have been. You know that ground. You know what helps and what only sounds like it helps. There is someone who will need what you carry, not a crowd, a person, or a few. You will recognize the moment when it comes because you will feel the pull of something familiar, and you will know what to say without having to prepare it. That is part of why I am putting you back on your feet. So do not shrink from this. You do not need to become impressive first. You do not need to have every question answered or every wound completely closed. I use ordinary people in the middle of ordinary lives, and I always have. The only qualification I have ever asked for is a willing heart, and yours has been willing for a long time. I want you to notice something about how you feel right now compared to when you first began listening. Your breathing has changed. Your shoulders have dropped. The knot you were carrying somewhere behind your ribs has loosened, even if only a little. You did not do that on purpose. That is my hand working while you were paying attention to my words instead of to yourself. That is usually how it goes. The healing happens while you are looking somewhere else. You will find that again in the days ahead. You will be in the middle of an ordinary afternoon and suddenly realize something that always hurt did not hurt today, and you will not be able to say when it stopped. Do not go looking for the exact hour it changed. Simply receive it. Let me also settle something about the days you are not proud of. There are memories you would rather I did not bring up, and you have quietly assumed they cost you something with me. Choices you made when you were hurting, words you said that you cannot take back, seasons when you turned away and stayed away. I have already dealt with all of it, not overlooked, not excused, but dealt with completely, and it is not standing between us. You have been holding on to a debt that was settled long before you started worrying about it. Put it down. It has no claim on you, and it has no place in what comes next. The version of yourself you have been apologizing for does not exist anymore. I do not see you through what you did at your worst. I see you as you are right now, listening, willing, being made new while you sit still. That is the person I am speaking to, and that is the person I am sending forward. You may feel something like relief moving through you. Let it move. It has been waiting a long time for permission. Some of what you feel tonight will not have words attached to it, and it does not need them. Not everything I do has to be explained to be real. Stay with me. There's one more thing I want to place in you before this is finished. The last thing I want to place in you is not strength, and it is not healing. It is certainty. Not certainty about what happens next, but certainty about who is with you while it happens. You have spent a great deal of your life trying to feel sure. Sure about the outcome. Sure about the road. Sure that the ground would hold before you put your weight on it. And every time you got close to that feeling, something moved and you had to start again. That kind of certainty was never available to you, and chasing it has cost you years of peace. The certainty I am giving you is different. It does not depend on knowing the road. It rests on knowing that I am on it with you and that I do not leave. You can walk into a day with no idea how it will end and still be entirely at peace because your steadiness was never supposed to come from the day. It was supposed to come from me. That is what changes now. You will still face things you cannot predict, but there will be a floor beneath you that was not there before. When bad news comes, you will feel it, and then you will find that you are still standing. When a season turns difficult, you will not spiral the way you used to. Something in you will hold, and you will not be able to explain it, and it will be me. Take what I have given you tonight into your ordinary days. Take it into the morning, into the quiet hours, into the moments when no one is watching, and it would be easy to slip back into the old braced way of living. Do not go back. That house has been empty. There is nothing left in it for you. Speak to me often, not in special language, not only when things are falling apart. Talk to me the way you would talk to someone sitting beside you, because that is nearer to the truth than any formal words could be. I am not far off, and I am not difficult to reach. I never have been. And when you wonder later whether tonight was real, remember this. You will know it was real by what stays. Feelings pass. Moments pass, but what I have built in you will still be there next month and next year, and you will look back on this night as a place where something turned. You're going to feel it in small ways at first. A little more strength in the morning, a little less fear when a familiar ache returns, a steadiness in a moment that would have shaken you before. Then one day you will realize the change is not small anymore, and you will not be able to point to when it grew, only that it did. I want to leave you with this. You are not carrying your life alone. You never were. Even in the years when it certainly felt that way. There were moments you thought you were holding everything together by yourself, and you were not. I was holding it, and I was holding you. and I will still be holding both long after tonight has passed. So rest now. Let your body finish receiving what I have begun. Let your mind stop working through what has already been settled. There is nothing left for you to solve in this moment. The work is mine, and it is going well. Tomorrow you will get up and go about your day. And the day may look much like the ones before it, but you will not be the same person walking through it. Something has been repaired. Something has been strengthened. Something that was quietly closing has opened again, and it will stay open. There is one habit I want you to break, and it is the habit of waiting for the other shoe to drop. When good things begin to come, something in you will brace and start scanning for the catch. You learned that from years when good news often had a cost attached. I have no catch. What I give freely, and there is no bill arriving behind it. So when the first good thing comes, receive it fully. Do not hold part of yourself back in case it does not last. Do not thank me quietly and then wait to see whether it holds. Enjoy it out loud. Let yourself be glad without hedging. That gladness is not naive, it is trust. And it pleases me more than any careful gratitude ever could. Do not be afraid of what is ahead. I have already been there. I have already made a way through the part that worries you most. When you reach it, you will find provision waiting that you did not put there, and you will know exactly who set it out. My child, we have walked a long road together, longer than you remember. There were stretches when you did not know I was beside you, and I was there anyway. There will be more road ahead, and I will be on that too. Nothing ends here. Everything simply gets steadier. Go gently with yourself. In the coming days, do not measure your progress against anyone else's, and do not rush what I am unfolding at exactly the right pace. Some things will change quickly, others will take their time. Both are my work and both are good. You are loved, you are held, you are being made whole. Let those three things be the last thing in your mind before you sleep tonight and the first thing when you wake. I am not going anywhere. This is not the end of what I am doing in you, only the end of what I am saying tonight. Carry it with you. Live from it. Let it change how you meet the morning. And now, before I go quiet, give me one word from your own mouth. Let your final amen rise now, and let it be the beginning of everything I have promised you. Before you go, hear one last thing from me. The morning will come and it will look ordinary. The same room, the same hour, the same first thoughts arriving before you have had a chance to choose them. Do not let that fool you into thinking nothing happened here. My work does not need a change of scenery to be real. You will be tempted to check yourself, to test whether it held, to press on the old place and see if it still hurts. Stop doing that. A wound left alone heals faster than one that is opened every hour to be inspected. Trust what I have done and let it settle without your supervision. And when the day is hard, come straight back to me. Not after you have tried everything else. Not once you have run out of your own strength again. First, that is the change I most want in you, and it will save you more grief than any other thing I could give. I have said what I came to say. What is left now is not talking but living, and you are ready for it in a way you were not when this began. Walk out into your days lighter than you walked into this hour. Speak your amen once more, and let it seal every word I have spoken over you tonight. We run on viewer support only. For exclusive member-only content, scan the QR or see the pinned comment. God bless you.